Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Jag Fantasy. I'm your host, Gianni Zolo, and I'm going to win you your fantasy league, all right? So let's get started here. We're going to start off with injuries coming in from last week. We have a couple of wide receivers that went down. Again, Chris Godwin re-injured that hamstring, as well as Julio Jones re-injured his hamstring. Sam Darnold is out this week. Not sure how long he will be out exactly. He injured his shoulder, so Joe Flacco is going to start this week. Wide receiver Corey Davis for the Titans. He actually caught COVID. Not sure how long he is going to be out. Him and a few other players will not be available for the Titans this week. And Noah Fant, tight end for the Broncos, injured his ankle, should be out 2 to 4 weeks, hopefully. Hopefully we can see him back on the field soon. And tight end O.J. Howard, another young tight end, plays for the Buccaneers. He is actually on IR, and he's out for the season, sadly. And a big blow to a lot of fantasy teams last week was Austin Eckler, the running back for the LA Chargers. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. And that definitely diminishes a lot of people's running back positions for the next couple weeks. And with those injuries, you're going to look to the waiver wire to pick up some people. And a really good person to target this week and going forward is quarterback Teddy Bridgewater for the Carolina Panthers. He's looked really good. Him and Robbie Anderson are clicking. Him and his running back Mike Davis, because Christian McCaffrey is out. They have looked really good together. The chemistry looks good. Another person to look at would be Damian Harris, the running back for the New England Patriots. He actually got a good workload against the Chiefs last week as Sony Michel was out, and he may even overtake the starting running back role over James White and Rex Burkhead going forward. We'll see how that goes. Another person to pick up that I'm looking at is Brandon Ayuk. He's the rookie wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. He actually had a really good-looking play on Sunday night last week. He caught a nice pass, ran down the field, and completely cleared the defender. It was a really nice play. Look for him to do really good in these upcoming weeks. And two other people to target that I have are Bills wide receiver Cole Beasley and Seahawks tight end Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen has had a lot of targets recently over these past few weeks, and even though they have a lot of tight ends on the Seahawks, Greg Olsen is going to be one of their go-to guys because he's been in the league for so long. He's got sure hands, so he'll be really good. And another guy that's been in the league for really long, like I said, Cole Beasley, wide receiver for the Bills. He's going to be a nice guy to go pick up and get. Josh Allen has looked really good, and those Bills wide receivers with Stephon Diggs, John Brown, Cole Beasley, and Gabriel Davis, they've looked really good. That offense is clicking. I expect Cole Beasley to have a lot of receptions over these next few weeks. All right, now we're going to get into your start and sit. And my number one start for this week, I talked about him a little bit earlier for the Carolina Panthers, running back Mike Davis. He's actually playing the Falcons this week, who have clearly one of the worst defenses in the league. He's been really, really good these past few weeks that McCaffrey has been out. Look for him to have another big week. And another person coming off a really slow start, another running back, I think you should start him this week. It's Kenyon Drake against the Jets. Not only is he playing the Jets, which you should start absolutely anybody who ends up playing them, but Kenyon Drake, I think, is bound for a big game, and I think the Cardinals are going to be up by a good amount of points on the Jets, so Kenyon Drake is going to get a very decent amount of carries this week. And we have 3 wide receivers that I'm telling you guys to start this week. One of them is Justin Jefferson versus the Seahawks. He's been one of the most productive rookies, not only rookie wide receivers, but just rookies in general. He's been really good. And that Seahawks defense, especially those corners, are very, very bad at football right now. We'll see how they fare against Justin Jefferson, but I think he's going to have a big day. And the other receiver is Darius Slayton for for the New York Giants. He's playing the Cowboys this weekend. Cowboys defense, another defense that looks absolutely atrocious. I think Daniel Jones, this might be one of his better games, and it might throw him into some momentum. And Daniel Jones' favorite receiver is Darius Slayton. He is very talented, and for some reason he seems to have a lot more chemistry with Daniel Jones than the rest of the receivers do. And the last start for this week, I have DJ Moore versus the Falcons. I know I told you to start Mike Davis versus the Falcons, but that is how bad that Falcons defense is. They have let up an abundance of points through the past 4 weeks actually. And DJ Moore has been decently productive, and I'm looking for him to break out this week. All right, and now we have your players who you're going to sit this week. I believe, even though I am very high on this guy for the rest of the season, I think you should sit Devontae Parker versus the 49ers this week. Hasn't looked great this entire season, and that 49ers defense is going to have to carry them because that offense, led by Nick Mullins, doesn't look that great, but they did get George Kittle back, which will help them a lot, and Raheem Mostert might be back this week as well. So I don't think Devontae Parker is going to be the best option this week. And another wide receiver to sit, I have A.J. Green versus the Ravens. Joe Burrow has looked very, very good, but he's targeting T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. Doesn't really look at A.J. Green a whole lot, and A.J. Green is not the A.J. Green we used to know. He's a lot slower breaking out of his routes. His hands aren't as sure as they used to be. And overall, he hasn't looked great, so I think you should sit him this week. And another sit, a lot of guys were high on him coming into this year, and it's Miles Sanders. Have him playing the Steelers this weekend. That's a very tough matchup, one of the best defenses in the league. And Philly has struggled all throughout the season, and Miles Sanders has definitely not helped the struggle at all. Another running back, one of your top running backs from last week, I think you should sit him this week against the Ravens. It is Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon had 42 fantasy points last week. Now, that's a lot of points. You might say, why are you sitting him? He was playing the Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars have an awful, awful defense. And personally, I don't think Joe Mixon is good at football to begin with. He's looked very bad against any defense that he's played. And then he fared decently last week, rushing for 3 touchdowns against that Jacksonville defense. But that Jacksonville defense is one of the worst in the league. So I think you should sit Joe Mixon this week. I think I see his production going right back down the drain to where it was. And a big person to sit this week, if you have him at quarterback, I think you should sit him. It's Ryan Tannehill. He's playing the Buffalo Bills this week. The Bills defense and the Bills team overall have looked solid. They're firing on all cylinders. Their D-line is great. Their defensive backs are great. We've always known that. And now their offense is really starting to pick up. So I think it could be a blowout for Buffalo this weekend. All right, that is it for me this week. I hope to see you guys back here next week with a fantasy W, and hopefully your home team brings home the W as well. Goodbye.